Hi, this is Bernie, your Uber elder. I've been social media interacting with some folks on Facebook, and I wanted to kind of combine some ideas because with the people I interact with on social media and in the Uber, the riders that we get into a discussion about what's happening to the planet and what's wrong, et cetera, I think establishing consensus on that there's a huge problem and that we must do something dramatic, that part almost everyone agrees to. The question always becomes, what can we do? What must we do? What should we do? And there I find people in different camps. There are the folks that believe that it's what we do as individuals, stopping being consumers, stop working for the capitalist system, drop out, be the example, live a sustainable lifestyle. That's kind of one model. Another model is our governance has let us down. It's not serving our interests or those of the future. We must elect another party into power, better representatives, a better president, and that 2020 is a crucial year because clearly we're at the cusp, and this is the most important election of all. And then there are folks that believe the current system's working just fine, and the market will sort things out, and even the renewable energy will indeed come into play as the fossil fuel energy runs out, and this system can continue because it's worked fine all these years. It's giving us everything we want. And do you really want to live like poor people, indigenous people? Nah, let's keep America great as it is. Keep this civilization going, but make some minor modifications. So you've got those camps, and then you've got a camp that I'm in that says, no. The very system, the very civilization that is this globalized, centralized, with nations having the power, like the United States having the power, and even having a representative democracy is not a solution. It's all part of the problem, because that whole system believes in continuing to grow and accumulate wealth, because they have the idea that property can be held by individuals and families and passed down, and therefore accumulating more assures a better survival into the future. So I think that whole system that we have right now is the problem. And there are thousands of examples of cultures that are not killing the planet, that their values, their ways and means, but we've been trampling on them. They're developing countries at best. We're the developed country. We are progress. We must continue down this technology road. So within the people that believe that everything is working fine, many of them are enamored by the technology and the human ingenuity that'll get even better. We send more kids to more universities, teaching them more details about everything on the planet, and that somehow is going to lead to the wisdom of understanding how to solve this problem. Well, I think that wisdom is being lost by this myopic view that artificial intelligence and the technology path we're on is the solution. The medical process of understanding every part of life and being able to replicate and manage it and organize will help us save species, have them stop from going extinct by management, by humans. We can control this all. What arrogance! What nonsense! We must come to a quick understanding of a simpler life, a lower energy life, a lower resource using life. This consumer capitalist system that we're in cannot continue. The centralized monoculture of every industry cannot continue. It must be radically localized, and we have to live with the foods and the things we can produce locally. Now, most people would say, oh my God, I got to give up like 99% of what I now have. Yes, that's the urgency of the crisis we're at right now. And this is not a political problem. This is not a legal problem. This is a cultural problem. And we need to let go of our colonial thinking that continues to believe that the civilization is good because we benefit from it and we gain power and wealth by its continuing to grow. That we have to come to realize has to come to an end. And it's not about left or right or centrist in the Congress. It's not about the kind of president we elect. It's the fact that we believe in nations and borders and ownership and who owns what, not privately only, but also publicly. The idea of owning things publicly is nuts. Yes, when we get down to a local level, in bioregion, in villages, and we can't support cities. We can't support the billions of people on this planet. So let go of the idea that our solution must be somehow sacred to every life. No, billions are going to die one way or the other. The question is, do we wind up with no humans or do we wind up with some humans? And so the simpler life, the local life, is an absolute necessity. So then the question that separates some people is, how do we get there? Some people think, yeah, one step at a time, one little green thing at a product, service, or another. I'll live more locally. I'll move to the country. I'll grow my own food. I'll make my own clothes. Those are all great, but that is not going to bring the population there with the kind of speed. We won't have the transition that's needed to actually save the planet. So what can bring about really quick change? Well, I'll say no actions we can take can do that. I mean, a revolution I'm for, but a revolution with guns to take over the existing centers of power still leaves you with centers of power and different philosophies and different people running them. No one wants to disband that level of power. So diversity, like in nature, has to happen through us ultimately understanding that the collapse of the global systems is a good thing, that the collapse of our nation and our economic system is a good thing, and us returning to struggle for life in whatever way we can find in smaller groupings. That's what we need to be willing to welcome. Now we have an arrogance and we have a privilege, and that privilege says we have choice. Well, in this matter, sorry, we don't have a choice. The only choice that I see really out there is extinction, near-term extinction of most of the web of life, including humans, or a rapid acceptance that we must let it crash and burn. This civilization, this industrial, capitalist, globalist patriarchy, hierarchy must be allowed and welcomed and encouraged to collapse. Now, I'm not saying taking up arms to encourage it to collapse, but when we see chaos, that's a good thing. That's called entropy in nature. And we can't continue to keep up the built environment that humans have created to date. And we've only created it because we've had cheap energy. At least we have treated it as cheap because it was easy to get. It was not expensive within our market system. And so we used it to heat our homes, drive our cars, make our plastics, make our medicines, make our knowledge and computers and the sharing of all of that possible. But when that goes away, it goes away. And there is sunshine going to happen, and there is wind going to happen, and tides will continue. But turning them into electricity, that takes machinery, and it's machinery that takes the energy we won't have when the fossils are done. Let's get real, folks. So the quick change has to be a change in thinking. So it has to come from people like me telling it more bluntly than any politician will say, more clearly than most philosophers will say. It has to be plain talk. And start by seeing how the systems we have are destroying the planet, then continuing to encourage those systems or play within those systems, including voting within the political system. That is a wasted energy. That is an energy that is not going to solve the problem you're hoping to solve, because if you understand the nature of the problem and how deep it goes, then we must go deep in our cultural change. No transition towns movement. I was a part of that. I helped make that happen. No renewable energy alternatives and keep the lifestyle going. No more continuing centralized, standardized, specialized. It's all got to be diverse, locally distributed, living a simple life.